of condescension after several opportunities to speak out.
Today, when he was forced, obviously by some staffers because it came several news cycles after, he finally spoke out. Is our country so lower in its expectations of what to expect from a president that we are supposed to say, congratulations, Mr. President, you recognize anti-Semitism? That's pathetic.
It's ironic that no matter how many times he talks about this, that it's never good enough. I saw that statement. I wish that they had praised the president for his leadership in this area, and I think that hopefully as time continues to go by, they recognize his commitment to civil rights, to voting rights, to equality for all Americans.
And as expected, both sides weighed in online. One person tweets, headline today should read, Trump says anti-Semitism has to stop, doesn't present a plan to stop it. And another person says, it's sad when something like the Anne Frank Center is infected and plagued by political partisanship. Shameful. Now, this other person says, so we are supposed to praise Trump for finally speaking out against the anti-Semitic threats and hate crimes caused by his own rhetoric? No. But political commentator Anna Navarro tweets, glad Trump addressed anti-Semitism. We must all stand in solidarity with Jewish community and be vigilant against hate and discrimination. So as you guys heard, a lot of leaders and people around the country are saying that Trump was too slow to condemn the anti-Semitic threats. But one of the big questions is, although he condemns it now, he doesn't really have a plan out of the White House on how to combat it.
Yeah, and we mentioned yesterday too how his daughter Ivanka was the first person from the family to make a public statement about it. And we noticed too in this video he was reading a statement, which is not really his style. Usually he just speaks from whatever's in the heart or from the gut or whatever he wants to do. So a lot of folks paid attention to that he stuck to sort of a script on what he should say in response to the anti-Semitic attacks that have been going on.
And for a lot of people, they think this is a no-brainer. It's easy to just condemn it
right away.
Yeah.
All right, thanks to Lynn. Meanwhile, the Trump administration rolled out a new executive order to step up enforcement of immigration laws. It's all laid out in a memo from the Department of Homeland Security. So here's a look at some of those major changes. The DHS will hire more ICE agents, officers, mission support, legal staff. It will establish a Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement Office within ICE. It will identify sources of funding for the southern border wall. It gives immigration agents broader discretion to decide who they're going to round up. And it ends the so-called catch and release, where people caught from being in the U.S. unlawfully were released while they wait to go before an immigration judge. So instead, the memos call for more people to receive expedited removal. And we are joined now by Celsa Rodriguez, who is an immigration attorney. Thanks so much for being here with us this morning on Eye Opener. When you look at this new order, what was your first reaction?
Well, I kind of assumed that this is where things were going to go, but I found it to be very, very broad, and so it didn't really have like a specific focal point. So when I was reading it, I was thinking, first of all, how are we going to afford this, and second of all, how are the guidelines going to be put in place so that we're not violating the rights of citizens or legal permanent residents? I mean, I know that the memos indicate that, you know, only certain individuals will be targeted, but I think it leads to a lot of racial profiling.
What do you think will be the effect on people who are already here, though, who may not have determined status yet?
I think there's going to be a lot of fear. I think that they'll in all honesty, I think people are going to start even considering leaving the country, which I think ultimately is probably what President Trump is wanting for it to happen, because obviously it alleviates a lot of the costs for our government. So, I mean, right now I think people who are here illegally need to really seek counsel to see if there are any possible ways to fix that. Because at the end of the day, you have to choose, okay, do I want to spend this much money on trying to fix my status, or do I just simply want to go back or go somewhere else?
Right.
And those who support this order, those who support the president's plans, his administration, say, you know what, you're here illegally, you shouldn't have the same rights as folks who are in this country legally, and maybe the goal is, yeah, go back, you know, home or wherever you came from, because you're not supposed to be here. You cross into the United States illegally. What sort of message is that sending, though, to illegal immigrants, especially those who are here who have families? Let's say, you know, who have kids who may be allowed to stay if they're protected underneath the whole, you know, the Dreamers, law that President Obama set forth. What does it say for families who may be split apart, though?
Well, I mean, it's a very real possibility. Thankfully, the memos indicate that the Dreamers are not going to be targeted. But of course, their families are open to be targeted, and in many cases, they could find themselves being separated. It's obviously sending a message to illegal immigrants. It doesn't matter what ties you have to this community, we want you to leave. At least that's how I read the orders and the memos. And I know those were some of the campaign promises, that we're gonna get rid of criminals, if you will, right? But the problem with the memos and the problem with the executive order is that they are incredibly broad. So even though there was initially a prioritizing of felons or of people with charges, now it's basically anyone is subject, to be deported or removed, or it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it is a criminal act to be here illegally. And so those people, even if they have no priors, or even if they have been charged and then acquitted, it won't matter.
Because it's still
a crime.
Still a crime. Well, Celsa Rodriguez, we're glad you came in this morning to share your insight on this, and we'll be talking with you, I hope more about this as we watch this all get implemented.
All right, coming up on Eye Opener, we get a look inside those celebrity swag bags that actors get at the Oscars. And we find out what it's like to be Miley Cyrus's doppelganger, plus find our own celebrity lookalikes. Stay where you are. Your weather is just 60 seconds away.
So I thought you were Denzel Washington's doppelganger, right?
No, he's my doppelganger.
Oh, Denzel looks like you.
To get the order right.